Okay, we're down to our last video. I want to go ahead and cover Cougar's Bodies for you. We've done 11 videos leading up to this point. And we've gone over bone structure, we've gone over musculature, we've gone over all the parts that make up a big cat. So it's my thinking that by the time we've gotten to this point now, we should have that anatomy, pretty well drilled into our head. So what I thought I would do with the Cougars was, like I did with the heads, I've already got some Cougars drawn that I did a while back in preparation for these videos, and I thought we could break them down in the same way that we broke down the heads, and I can talk about how I draw them from the outside in, thinking about that structure that's on the inside. But when I actually sit down to draw, I don't actually draw, I did those other videos because I wanted you to understand what's happening on the inside working out. But when I actually sit down to draw, I don't draw a skeleton, then I don't draw, and then draw the muscles and then put the skin on it. I don't build it up that way. I just start by drawing the cat because I've got the knowledge of what's happening underneath. So once again, now that we've gotten to this point, you should know what's happening underneath. And now that we're getting into the Cougars, it's really just a matter of learning some different proportions. So why don't we go ahead and dive in. I've already prepared a drawing here with several cats on it. And so I thought I would go ahead and start drawing over some of these and just kind of break them down for you. So I'm going to blow this guy up. Now let's just start with this guy. I start with that circle. I always like to start with the head. And I'm going to knock this back just a little bit more. Start with that head. And once again, look at the size of the head in proportion to the body. It's fairly small. Not quite as small as a cheetah, but it's fairly small. And then I like to find that gesture. Nice and bold. This is the time to draw loose. And then often I'll just kind of lay in, thinking about, trying to get that S form to the body. I'll usually lay in this form right here, thinking about the ribs underneath, okay, and shoulders. And then I'll usually indicate right there where that break is going to be for the shoulder blades. I don't actually draw them in. I just kind of hit the break. And so now here, when I originally drew this, I just started out with this shape here. And once again, just like we did with the heads, find that center line, which is way around to the side. Find that eye line, which is going to be like that. And I just roughly indicate. There we go. The features. And get that brow in there like we always do. Okay. Now also remember, keeping in mind, because we're drawing a mountain lion, that face is a little shorter, right? Now we know we got neck muscle that comes down, that feeds into right there, that trapezius comes down, feeds into the shoulder, which is in the front. We already know that we've got a scapula right there, right? And because he's got full weight on both paws, those shoulder blades are going to be coming up. These are all things that we already know. Now, the head is more like a cheetah on a cougar. Okay, we know that. But the body's a bit thicker. They live in a colder climate, so their fur tends to get a little bit thicker. So that fur is going to cover up a lot of the musculature, especially if you're drawing a cougar in the wintertime. So the limbs are a little thicker. They're a little stronger. Actually, pound for pound, the cougar jumps higher than any other cat. They jump really, really high. They have very, very strong back legs back here. But if I break this down, we know we've got that. I probably usually draw something like this that comes in. And we know we got muscle back here. And deltoid muscles that come around. You got the muscle in here. And I always think of, I think of the forearms of a cat a lot like our own forearms. A person's, if I draw this here, if I draw an arm, There's a person with the thumb on the other side. There's the elbow. And coming up into the shoulder. You know, a person's arm, you know, if you look at this shape here and this shape here, it's not that drastically different. Ours is a bit thinner, but you've still got that same muscle that comes down into the wrist. Here's the muscle that comes down right into the wrist, into the fingers, and here's the fingers obviously are different on the cat, which I'll indicate very quickly. And remember I was talking about on the other cats that Lion King shorthand, where you have the foot come down when I was animating on Lion King, and you got that thumb that's in there. But I would do this shape. Do that shape first, and then you can break it up, and then get your details in there if you want. Okay? Now, unlike the cheetah, you know, the cougar, just like all the other big cats, the claws retract when they're not using them. Okay? And there's that tricep muscle that comes down into the elbow, like so. And there's a bit of a tricep muscle here on the arm. All the same, right, as here. You got the tricep muscle, comes up. There's a shoulder right here. There's a shoulder there. It's all the same kind of stuff, just different proportions. So you can see person's arm. There's the elbow. Right there. Like so. And then there's a cat. You can see the cat's a bit stronger in that forearm. This is a typical, you know, person's arm here. A little bone there. Cat's got the bone there. Same thing. Okay? Oh, I can't resist. There's that deltoid muscle. And you got the same definition right up in there. Now, we know that we've got that trapezius muscle that comes back. If we, you know, a thinner cat, a thinner cougar, you would see that on the cat. I'm sorry, not trapezius, latissimus. That's the latissimus muscle. Okay, and then you've got more muscle here coming down like so. Those are your obliques that go over the ribs. So we know we got a pelvis here, right? Coming right off of that pelvis, you're going to go right into the knee, and we already know that we've got that femur that connects halfway back on the pelvis there. That femur comes down and connects where the knee is, and then we come back like so. Remember, we're going to keep these parallel. So once again, we've learned all that. Keeping that in mind, let's build the muscle on top of that, knowing that we've got a more robust animal. These legs are a bit thicker, more thickly furred. There we go. And so they're just a little bit more, they're heavier looking. Because there's so much fur. Look at right in here if we look at the, you know, all of this bunching of fur, that's because it was a very furry, you know, thickly furred cat. So this would all be bunches of fur. This is, you know, a wintertime animal. And then, remember, we got those back feet tend to have their ankles come together. If you look at them from behind, you got that pelvis area. The tail comes down. Then you got a heel, and they tend to come out like so. And the heel here, and so they point out and point out. Calf muscles, ankles, tendons, like so. And bring that tail down. Okay, so remember those heels, they come together like so. And then that feeds right down into that nice J shape in that tail. Okay, so we've really utilized everything we've learned. We know, just like on the other big cats, that's a real thin part. You got that hollow right there. You got the muscle right here in the neck. Okay, all of that is the same. We're just looking at different proportions. And we know we got a dark area right along here. They tend to be white bellies, just like on the other cats. But for the entire rest of the body, they're this kind of dark, kind of a light umber beige color. Okay? And that would just be a matter of, like we did on the other cats, laying in those details. You've got it rough. Cheekbones, remember? Okay. And this ear feeds down into that jaw line there, like so. Broken up fur. Okay. And then you just finish out the details on the rest of the cat. Let's look at, I want to look at this one right here because I want to go over what's going on inside the cat there. Let's go ahead and start with that circle like I was talking about before. I always start with that. That circle, short face. Now here, this is pretty interesting because he's looking, if you looked at the cat sideways, if the cat was going in this direction, he's really looking, he's got his neck cranked this way. So you want to get this strong flow through the body and actually right out through that tail. So once again, I would try to find that and then build off of that. So the neck is it's not too long. It's not as long as on a cheetah. But here's what I wanted to talk about. So we've got the shoulder blade here, but look how much the arm is pulled in. So that shoulder blade is coming down like this into the shoulder, and then that's back here, and then we got the claws. See how much that's really kind of accordioned in. And once again, remember I was talking about here's your stiff part of the body, and then the flexible part, and it's that flexible part that's really where a lot of the strong back muscle is that's holding this cat up. We got this rib cage that comes down. Once again, I'm looking for that flow right down through the body. We know the hip is here, pelvis comes down like so, which is going to go right into the knee, into the ankle and down. Once again, this is a case where you remember I'm always talking about that femur being parallel with the foot, like so. So you can build that foot, build that leg on it, like that. Well, in this case, it's not quite parallel, is it? And that's okay. Every rule is made to be broken, and it's really about looking at what that anatomy can do and following that. All right, so with this cat pushing off like so, we know that foot's going to be pushed down a little bit more. But look how, all this muscle and meat and everything is going to really bunch up in here as he pulls his arms up. There's a nice break in the wrist. The other thing I like to do is kind of overlap my forms to show which direction they're going. And what I mean is, like with this arm right here, this arm is bent this way. And then I draw that wrist around. this way, so I know that that's in front. And I'll just do things like that, a little shorthand to, to kind of guide me as I'm working out the drawing. There's that wrist. And in cases like this, very, very simple, just like a paddle shape for those paws to get that initial drawing in. All right, so that once again, just lighten it up. That's all we need to do. And we can get in there, and I'll turn this off. We can get in there. We know, okay, well, that cheekbone comes around. The nose comes up like so. This comes back. The chin is here and feeds back. That dark mark there. And I'll have the ears up. Why not? Just come back into the jawline. That fur is going to break up as he's looking up, like so. There we go. I like to put a little bit of a break there. And because he's pulling that arm forward, that fur is going to bunch right in here. So, like I said, you can roughly lay this stuff in and then talk yourself through the details. We know that the tricep muscle is going to be back here, right into the wrist on the cat, and into that first paw, and then the other toe, I should say. Okay? And straight back. Straight back. So once again, just keep in mind the head proportion, that head proportion is, closer in line with the cheetah, and then the body proportion is thicker, more like a leopard. Okay? And then your coloring scheme is that beige body with the white belly, and that's your cougar, that's your mountain lion. Like so. All right. Got a helicopter flying overhead. Okay, let's do one more over here. I want to do this because the way he's reaching out. I really like this. Once again, I would just draw through, even though I know the arm is going to be in the front. I'm going to draw through, and I know the shoulder is going to be up in here, so I want to get those, the scapula up here reaching forward into the elbow, up into the arms. Remember, this is the stiff part of the body, and we go back into flexibility. That rib cage is here. It actually comes way back like that. And this is really stretched. This part, even though if this were a cheetah, it would probably look more like this. I mean, really, really stretched, like so. But he's got a little meat on him, and he's a little furrier for the winter. So it thickens the cat up a bit. But even still, you get this nice flow through the body. You get all these ribs. They're going to come this way. All this muscle, that latissimus muscle is really stretching this way as he reaches up. And if I'm looking at that arm, the front arm, A lot of times I'll tend to, work a straight. Like if I'm looking at the top of the arm, there's a straight. If I'm looking at it very, the shorthand. And then the paw comes down. Like so. And then I get my curves. Straights and curves. Okay? I always try to find that dynamic. I try to find straights and curves as a graphic. It tends to work a little bit better. Especially working with those limbs. Okay? So this comes right down to that pelvis. This leg is here, right down to the knee, here. That's pretty much parallel. And there's the knee, calf shape, into the thigh muscle. And that back foot. The other thing too is, if you're looking at that back foot, that shorthand, it tends to be, pretty curved like so. Into the there's the ankle. Okay, you get a nice curve to it. Even here, there's a little bit of a curve right there. Okay? So you'll have these drawings, break them down in this way. Like I said, we've gone over all that musculature and we've gone over all those skeletons. So really it's putting it to practice now with these cougars and adding a different proportion. I've got one little bonus thing over here. And these can kind of fit for all the cats. So you once again got to change those proportions a little bit, and change the colors. But I went ahead and did some feet. And, these feet are very similar to a lion's feet, to a leopard's feet, to a tiger's feet. Once again, it's just changing those proportions. But what I'd like to do is, real quickly, we'll just break them down real quick. So let's just start with this first one. Remember, we got that little bit of that twist. And one thing I forgot to put on here is that thumb right in there. And in this case, look at how big this toe is. It comes out, kind of takes over that back toe, that first toe, the toe here. But once again, I'm going to erase this so we can go back. There's that thumb. If we go in and do my Lion King shortcut, remember these lines, there's the break in the wrist, and you get the flare out into the foot, like so. This flares. It's thin right here and thicker down here, and the tendons tend to show. But there's a break there, and a break there, and a break there. And then it's just adding those details, okay? So, if we do the shorthand, foot comes down into the wrist, flares out, thumb over here, break. And then those, the openings for the claws, the sheath, are close to the insides, like that. Okay? They're not centered. You got muscle here. Okay? Here's one. Look at this. There's that pad I was talking about. Here's the piece of the thumb right there. And toe. The pattern of those toes is just like every other cat or dog, very similar. Cats. When you look at cat prints, though, the way you can tell it's a cat, other than a cheetah, is that you don't see the claw marks. But the pads make this shape there. Like so. Okay? Same thing here. Once again, flare, flare. See, it's thinner there. Flares out. I'm doing the simpler version. And then that toe on the back side, and there's the thumb. Okay? So there's, keep in mind, we've gone over the front legs and how, you get that little twist in the forearm. And so here, I just wanted to show you a couple of details on how those toes and how the tendons work. Once again, you'll have this. Go ahead and study that. But I think that's it. We've covered all of the big cats that I'm familiar with. We've gone over lions, tigers, leopards, cheetahs, and now cougars. And I hope that you guys have gotten something out of this. It's almost 12 hours worth of content here, and this is a lifetime's worth of observation and figuring things out for myself that I've tried to pour into these videos. So I really hope you've gotten something out of it. I've really enjoyed creating them for you. And I'm going to continue creating more animal videos as time goes on and create an entire library. So thanks again for purchasing these set of videos. And I hope you learn how to draw big cats. Thanks a lot. Bye.